Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, episode 31. We had a week off last week with no game last weekend, but we're back in force now ahead of this Saturday's massive game against Warrington Wolves here at AMT Headingley. And it's a double header of action because the reserves are in performing on the curtain raiser before the main game. So that we're delighted to be joined by our transition coach, Chev Walker, who does an outstanding job with the reserves and the academy. And we'll speak a bit more about that later on. I'm Phil Daly, head of Media and PR. Great to have you back listening to our podcast, and we bring you all the latest news from the Leeds Rhinos camp. Don't forget to subscribe to make sure you keep in touch with all the news as soon as it comes out, and give us a 5-star review so we can continue to spread the word about all things Leeds Rhinos and keep you up to date with everything that's happening here at AMT Headingley. Well, we're going to go back a bit first of all before we get started to the time the men's team were in action, and that was against Wakefield Trinity at AMT Headingley, and it was a hard-earned 22-18 victory. First of all, thinking back to the game, Chev, first half really clinical, really some great stuff there. Second half, we had to find a way to get the win.
Yeah, probably the polar opposite to round one, really, where we really took hold of it in the first half, and I think the occasion played a part in that as well, like the build up to the game, obviously for Rob, and we spoke about as wise and the reason why we wanted to get out there and attack it, and the boys did that. A little bit disrupted in the second half, but again, probably because of the shuffle around and injuries that had happened throughout the game. But we'd done enough in the first half to lay down a mark, and we weren't a million miles off in the second half. It just wasn't as smooth.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen Wakefield this year. They're a good side, and I think they were probably a bit shell shocked at half time. Daryl Power gave them a bit of a G up, and they came out second half, and put those threats on us. But we did deal with it. We got the win, and we managed to defend. There was a big period there, particularly our own line, where we had to hold them out, and we found a way to do that.
Yeah, and again, credit to the boys all year. They've been very consistent with the defence. Even in the games that we've lost, it's been a matter of us not scoring enough points. So we got the balance right, I reckon, and the D was right on point all the way through the game.
Looking back on that first half, the spine we've spoken about all year, that once that gets settled in place, we're going to see some threats, and we definitely saw that in the first half. Jake Connor and Brodie in the halves pulling things, but Lockie's influence from fullback was, in that first 35 minutes until he pulled up with the injury, was breathtaking stuff.
Yeah, and it's that transition between from his defence to his attack, and Lockie brought a lot to the table that day. Got his numbers right in defence, but also the way that he brought the ball back to them and just helped our middles be able to invest in that. So it was a bundle of energy, causing some issues, and I think the try that he set up for Riley Lum was really, really, really good high skill, and very strong high IQ, really, to shape for the kick and then find the pass. So he played a big massive part in that.
So when we look at the stats breakdown, Jared O'Connor, top tackler as always there, 61 tackles, James Bentley 42, James McDonald 38. So you can see that core there doing the run. Ryan Hall 20 runs, Jake Connor 18, Riley Lum 16, and meters, Hawley another outstanding game, 207 metres rolling back the clock. Jake Connor 152 and Ash Hanley 140. Shows the amount of yardage we're making on teams.
Yeah, and not only that, within that, Jared O'Connor's 61 tackles, he was running at state of origin pace. It was 127 metres per minute, which is right up there with the origin. So yeah, heavily invested, work off the ball and the ball. But yeah, the metres that we're making is probably off the back of the defence complementing the attack and vice versa. Our back line's very strong in bringing it back, but as defence is putting them on the back foot and the kicking from within their half, and we're able to transition full of energy.
You often talk about players appreciating another player's workload, maybe doesn't necessarily get the plaudits that from the outside looking in. Is Jared's form one of those things that his teammates really appreciate what he's doing out there?
Yeah, and Lang has introduced TFE, which is team first efforts, and everybody gets a score on that, and there's a fair few in there every week that are really contributing to that. James Bentley, Jared O'Connor, James McDonald. There's a fair few that are actually, Callum Watkins as well within that are really high up there with the team first effort. So it don't go unappreciated by the teammates, but it goes unnoticed, I suppose, by the people in the stands, the amount of work that they actually get through for the team.
You mentioned Callum there. Great to get your insight on this, because obviously you were someone who started out as a centre and then found yourself in the pack later in your career, and that's what Callum's doing. I mean, he's had a fantastic influence since coming back from Salford. But have you been surprised but just how good he is?
He's been unbelievable. I wouldn't say I'm surprised. We used to joke when he was last here about Callum don't go down the route I did and end up in the middle, and he was adamant that it never happened, but he's took it and he's been real smooth with that. And I suppose what we are getting now of Callum is what we missed in that period that he wasn't here. He's influencing the players around him and leading by example. His numbers are great. His detail's very, very good. And he's just a super talented player. But with the work ethic that he's got, he's just found it really easy to slot in there. Now, it's a difficult thing to do when you've been used to playing the game at speed and playing in moments. To be in the game consistently is where it gets you. So he's adapted and he's become a very strong middle.
Yeah, and in 4 different positions he ended up playing throughout the course of the game. I mean, and every one of them to top class, did what was required of him from the team. And just that you mean, you talk about team first ever, just that mentality, say no, whatever is required, I'm going to do it for the team.
Yeah, and there's also a deeper skill than that. It's having the awareness of what all them other positions do for the team, and the smart players get a grasp of that early. Like, it's not just concentrating on their outcome, it's what does your influence on the game have on my effect, have an effect on how I play the game, or what outcomes come of the game. So Callum, being as smart as he is, he's able to just adapt to all the positions. Even when he went to half, we didn't lose much. There was still some shape there, and it was a threat down that left edge.
You talk about his move to the half there. It's a good opportunity to go on to that situation, because it's something from the outside looking in that you wonder how that process is going. I know we spoke to yourself and Grixie and Talangers about that, how we make changes and plan for things, and then things coming up in games that you can't plan for. Obviously, Lockie goes down with that calf injury just before half time, managed to keep going till half time. So, you know, I'm sat there on the bench, I can hear there's conversations going on straight away already about what we're planning to do, and then making that change at half time. What's the process involved there in terms of, you know, is the danger in changing too much? And actually what you want to do is keep that consistency across the team. Obviously, Jake goes to fullback and then Callum came on there. Are you looking more about keeping your shape than trying to keep the attacking flow going?
It's probably what's going to be the least disruptive, really. Obviously, Jake had trained there all pre-season, had the reps, and we thought they'd be able to just adjust and go straight back into the fullback role, which is a very hard position to cover, because it's what you're doing off the ball that's the biggest factor. But yeah, rather than disrupting, say, one of the wingers, if it had been Riley, or if we did took Ashley and put him there, we're disrupting quite a bit of cohesion there, which has been rolling. So to move one player out and be able to put Callum into the halves was probably the cleanest transition, really, for the group. Now, I suppose we lost as we're attacking wise, as in the cohesion bit from the spine linking Crofty and Jake Connor together. But there's a trust element there, and we got the job done in the end. The numbers was great there all the way through the game. So Jake got his numbers defensively right, which stopped Wakefield's threat. So that's a big one for fullback. If you can't cover the meters, but you're getting the numbers right, that helps the team as well. So you might lose a little bit in attack there, or kick returns, because of different styles of fullbacks. But yeah, probably the smoothest way to do it.
Yeah, it's that technical side of the fullback play that, you know, is a real insight in terms of the numbers, and what they do for the rest of the team. So it does take someone who's had some experience there to take on that role.
Yeah, and it does, and it takes reps as well. So Ash 2 years ago had done a little bit in pre-season to think about covering fullback. Not as much this pre-season, so it'd have been wrong to move himself or Ash Hanley. I don't think Ryan would be able to get back there and do that role. So yeah, with Jake doing a whole pre-season there due to Lockie's injury, it just made the perfect sense for him to go back there.
And hopefully the injury's not too bad for Lockie, and, you know, possibly in contention for this week, but long term back in contention. That's good news.
Yeah. Obviously with his history, it was the smart thing to do was to get him off and put him on ice and give him the best chance to be able to finish the season strong.
Yeah, and it was also an incredible emotion day. You mentioned there, that first half and all the emotion around Rob. I think all the fans and the whole day, was a fitting tribute to Rob and continued our work in promoting the M&D community.
Yeah, brilliant. Like it's been well documented, the connection between M&D and the club, but it's just the way that we do it as a club, and yourself more than anybody, is that it's heartfelt, but also it involves everybody, and I think the fans are great, both sets, to be honest, in memory of Rob, and yeah, like you say, we're raising the awareness for M&D and keeping that fight going.
Fantastic stuff. And just looking ahead to this week, we've got a double header of action. The reserves are actually going to be a busy day for you, Chev. Hope you have a big breakfast or this one. But great season so far for the academy and the reserves. Only one defeat out of 12 games so far. But the level of performances is the key that produces some great stuff.
Yeah, and when I was asked to do the job, it was from BA. To try and get the systems throughout the club all the way down, and having a feet in both camps really helped with that, and just able to get the principles over to the kids as a get-go so that they're ready and raring to go once the time comes. So the performances have been very good and very strong, but they're a mirror of the first team, and the way that the kids have been receptive to it and just took it on board and got on with it, as shown in the results. I think our defence is best in the academy. No, we're best in both comps, second or third in the first team. So where we sit on the ladder in all three grades is probably down to the defence. We're able to experiment a little bit more and take more risks with the attack, due to not the opposition without being disrespectful to them, but we're putting ourselves in positions to be able to attack a little bit more than and take more risks, and that's probably the only difference between first team and the reserves in the academy at this minute in time.
Very good. And I know you wouldn't want to highlight individuals in terms of performances, but just looking at two first years, Zach Lloyd and Jacob Hardy, they're in their first year of academy rugby, but they've stepped up to the mark and they've become key players in the team.
They have, yeah. More so at academy. They've both had a taste of reserves, being top performers at under 18s level, but there's a whole stable of them. I reckon there's a good 10 that'll be in and around the mix for the next few years. So yeah, it's hard to dictate when they're going to get their opportunity or when you can pencil that in with the first team becoming so strong as well. But it's an exciting time for them. But yeah, those two especially, as if you're building from down up, then if that's the quality that we've got right at the bottom there, we're in a good spot.
I know in terms of casting net wide as possible to get the best talent, John Bastian and his team are looking to rugby union as well. Oscar Brown's come in and he's obviously learning the game coming into rugby league, but he's done well in the academy.
Yeah, very well. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets included in the next Yorkshire. He just wants to learn and wants to get better, and is an absolute freak of an athlete. And yeah, he's just really receptive. I think I've gained their respect and trust. So the listening and they're trying to improve every session that they can or every game that they get. So there's a fair few of them, yeah, and it's getting better.
I know there's a couple of lads in the scholarship that have come from that rugby union route, and obviously Oscar, and we've got Ned and in the first team squad. In terms of as a coach, and I mean I know your role is transitioning from academy and reserve rugby into first team, but in terms of transitioning into rugby league and developing that core skill, is that something that we've been able to do with those guys?
Yeah, and I think it's the right age to get them before they've got too many miles on the clock, and we're trying to take out rugby union habits and trying to adapt them into rugby league players. If we get them early enough, they're coming at the same rate as the other kids, and the kids will know how to play rugby league, but not know the detail and the tactical side of things. So they come with a blank canvas, and I think all of those, the rugby union lads that we've converted over, have really adapted to it well. But again, I think it's because of the timing of it, getting them early enough into the system, and like I said, they're growing at the same rate as of us.
You mentioned the transition role there that Brad's wanted to perform and is vital for the development of the club. One player in particular that recently I heard Brad talking about in one of his pre-match press conferences was Presley Cassell. Prez has came into the 21-man squad recently, and Brad was asked by a journalist that, is he ready? When will he get his chance? Is he ready to play Super League? And Brad was really honest, straight. He's ready to play Super League. He's just the opportunity's got to come for him. He's got to get that spot. In terms of your role, and that it must give you a real heart that the head coach is seeing the work that someone like Prez is doing, and that he's got every faith that if he's required, he's ready to go.
Yeah, and again, like I always communicate with BA about that and who's ready and who's not ready, and it's an ongoing process. But Presley 100% is ready. He's physically a Super League player, mentally a Super League player. It's just unfortunate for him at this minute in time. The middles are, if not the biggest strength of our team at the minute, and the position that he plays, it'd be hard to push one of them out at this minute in time. So he's gonna have to bide his time. And Presley's smart enough and professional enough to be able to do that. So he understands where he's at. And I had this conversation with him the other day, is that if he was in any other Super League squad, likely it is, he's made his debut. But for him to look at it the other way around is when he does get his opportunity, that it's hard earned, but he's going to be going around with a decent pack around him, where he's not going to be the front and centre of it. He can able to just go in and build and learn his game that way.
Yeah, and it's something that's happened over time. It's always been the case. People look at, say, the golden generation of players, but players within that group made a debut or might have played one game, but then didn't play for another 18 months because they couldn't get into the side, and they went and they played in reserves or 18 rugby. Cameron Smith made his debut, didn't play another game for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And I think it's great when you're talking there about Prez and having that maturity of understanding. No, this is part of a process. I don't need the solution today. I need to be part of the process that brings long-term success.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest difference from this group of players to probably ourselves that were in that golden generation, is that they've got probably a higher level of maturity. They're owning their careers a little bit more than we did. We was more like soldiers, and do as you're asking and just do it. These are actually thinking and they're working out things out. So yeah, the challenge for me is to keep them together and connected and making sure that the time's right when it comes, that they're all ready to go for it.
Brilliant. And it'd be great. Come down early, get yourselves down to AMT Headingley to see the guys in action on Saturday. What are you expecting ahead of that game? Yeah,
tough. They're top league. They're top of the league as well. I think we're the same on they're top by points difference. So it should be a very good game. And obviously with us having a full strength first team, it should get a trickle-down effect to that. So again, some of our younger players that are coming up from the 18s should get the opportunity to play with some more mature players again, as we did against Wigan. So it certainly helps them when they can lean on Sinfield and Frawley and Ethan Clark-Wood, and just have a look at how they prepare and stuff for the games. And yeah, so I'm expecting a decent battle and hopefully a great performance again.
Yeah, it should be great. It's almost like the Aussie style, isn't it? Having the reserve game before the first team, get to see some of them senior players and the young guys working together. So it should be a great game, which brings us neatly onto Warrington this week. The heartbreak at Wembley, they thought they had it won, and then obviously that late try from Hull KR. I did a bit of research here in terms of looking at ourselves as Leeds for that reaction after a cup final defeat. And if you look at the 6 cup finals we lost over a period there, 2000, following week we beat Salford, 2003, beat Wakefield. 2005, we lost at Wigan, but only by 2 points. 2010, we won at Hull. 2011, we beat Wakefield. 2012, we beat Salford. So we've lost the cup final, go on to win. Conversely, we look at the 4 times we won. 99, we lost to Saints, albeit that was midweek and everyone was probably well intoxicated still. 2014, lost to Saints again. 2015, lost to Saints. 2020, lost to Saints. That probably tells a story that the team that loses the cup final comes away with a hunger to put things right the following week. Warrington are going to be no easy beats on Saturday evening, are they?
Yeah, and they'll be licking the wounds and dissecting everything that they got wrong within that game. But I was not watching the game. I think that was the best Warrington have played for a few weeks. So they'll be feeling confident off the back of that and knowing that type of performance is in their it's within their hands to be able to replicate that again. So yeah, it's not a loser's mentality. They're not. I can't imagine they'll be sulking. Disappointed by all means, but they can now focus on the big prize at the end, and I'm sure they'll be after that. So it starts the week after, pretty much.
How key to them is Mark Sneed? We talked about Callum coming to us and how much of a lift that's. Mark Sneed's been exactly the same at Warrington, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's just smart. The way that he plays the game and the way that he can get that team around the field. Just the little things, the dropout at the weekend, which could have been a game changer, and he gets them back in the game and in the balance of it. So he's just very, very smooth, very talented leader that does lead them around the field very, very well.
And Sam Burgess is a guy who can get people up for things. He'll have them revved up for Saturday, won't he?
Yeah, they'll be wanting to get, like I say, they'll want to get back into another final as soon as they can. And it starts week by week now until the playoffs, and we're building as well. So we're in the same boat. So it's a recipe for a great game. They're obviously coming off the back of that. We've got a week's rest. We just need to make sure that we did the right thing the rest, which I'm sure they have. The return today to training, and they seem in good spirits and ready to go again.
And having had that block of results there before the break for the cup final, chance for us to build some momentum in this next phase of the season.
Yeah, and the boys are dialed in and they're tuned in, and the coaching staff are doing some great stuff with them. Targets for them to get after, and there's plenty of stuff to go for within the game. That has been contributing towards the results, which it's an in-house thing that they're working on and going after, but it's the key to us being consistent over the last 3 weeks is that we've been targeting something.
Brad's spoken about the lads in the wider squad who are making sure that the guys who get the shirts on a game day are as best prepared as possible. Does it add an extra element this week, the fact that they've both got really competitive games on Saturday to prepare for in terms of getting everyone up for it?
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been brilliant that we get these Wednesday session or the main day session. Our lads have come on leaps and bounds because they're having to compete, and we've been giving them best practice. So without it being 2 games in a week, the pictures that the first team have been looking for, we've been able to give. And the competitive level of that has really helped both squads. So we've been trying quietly to go about it, but we've always been looking for the doubles. We generally get the first opportunity to get the first win for the club, and then it's followed by the first team and the ladies. So we've been trying to, without making it a thing, is that we keep talking about the doubles or the triples each weekend. So hopefully we keep that going this week.
Because that was a big thing back in the day when you were academy, that I know Dean Bell used to talk about with you guys, was you set the tone for the first team. If you produce a good performance, it sets the day up.
Yeah, and it does, and like I've been trying to get that message over because I remember how much it used to mean to us lot. And although the development part of it with the academy is not about the winning, but there's massive learnings within that as well, and becoming winners is a skill. So I make a point of it, and the lads seem to be buying in and tuning in for it.
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait for Saturday. It's going to be a double header of action. Get down here early, enjoy some fantastic rugby league action. We'll be back on Thursday for our Q&A edition, so make sure you send in your questions to info@therhinos.co.uk or comment wherever you see this podcast, and we'll put the questions out and get some answers for you across the club. Please send in your questions. It does make the Q&A edition even more interactive, so everyone can be involved in that. Make sure that you subscribe to keep in touch with all things Leeds Rhinos, wherever you get your podcast, and do leave us a 5-star review. It all helps with raising the profile for the Rhinos and continuing to spread the word. If you've not seen it yet, check out the 90-minute version of our Spirit of the Rhinos documentary that came out last Friday. It's free to watch on our YouTube channel. Great insight into last season, which was a real roller coaster journey captured by the great guys at Ram Films. It's free to watch on our YouTube channel. Have a look at it. There's some great responses since the launch last Friday. And don't forget that if you're heading out to Las Vegas, tickets are on sale now. Use the link on the website. That's the only way that the UK clubs can get any financial benefit to help offset the huge costs involved in travelling over to the States. So use that link. Brilliant response so far from the Rhinos fans. Everyone's getting their tickets, but they're still on sale. Let's all pack out that corner of Allegiant Stadium so we're all there, a sea of blue and amber, to support the boys when they run out in Vegas in February. Thank you ever so much for your support. We can't wait to see you on Saturday. It's going to be a great day of rugby league action. And don't forget afterwards, hang around because Pat Sharp's going to be spinning the discs. We're going to have a party on the pitch. You get to go on the pitch, have a little dance around, and enjoy a great family day out. We can't wait for that. We're looking forward to a special occasion, something unique and all included in your ticket price for Saturday's action. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us. We'll hear from you on Thursday.